I live with myself and my sister. My 3-year-old niece live with me.
For Ingham County dispatcher Amy Barajas, it was just like any other night shift at Ingham County's 911 Central Dispatch. She was assigned to East Lansing and expected an easy night until 8:18, when more than a dozen 911 calls came in at the same time.
I took one of the original 911 calls, and it was a call of a student.
And what did the student tell you?
That there was a gunman and that they had shot her friend.
She handed the phone to her partner and got on the radio, triggering the massive emergency response to an active shooter at Michigan State University.
MSU units, I got a shot fired, complaint at Berkey Hall, 509 East Circle. There's going to be a shooting victim. I'm trying to get further. I have a victim who's with the victim online, on the phone.
It was the beginning of a long night and a lot of coordination.
Yeah, all I have so far is that there's a shooter in the hallway, multiple people shot in dorm room or in classroom 114.
A lot of it, I can't remember. I just remember doing the initial, getting units out there. I had my partners asking if they wanted other departments, and I said, send everyone we got until we know for sure what's going on.
It would take hours to get a handle on what was going on. During that time, it was Amy Barajas' calm voice coordinating the response in a race to get help for the victims and catch the shooter.
Towards the Union Building westbound, do we have a description?
For these officers out there, they don't know what they're going out to. They don't know what's out there. They didn't know where the gunman was. My voice was a lifeline for them.
Barajas was part of a team fielding the 911 calls.
I can't imagine the ones who had to take my coworkers who took those 911 calls all night long. I took one of them and I still hear the screaming. I can't imagine the ones that they took of people, begging to stay on the line with them.
911 Director Barbara Davidson said she never felt so helpless.
They're so scared, and they've got you on the phone. It's somebody they can talk to that can maybe help them, and you can't stay on the phone with them. You just can't. There were so many other calls coming in. We had to. We had to say goodbye. That was very hard to do.
Yeah, you're going to need multiple ambulances.
10-4, we're getting them started from all over. Go.
On a typical night here at the Ingham County 911 Dispatch Center, there's about 10 people taking calls and a supervisor on duty. The night of the mass shooting, there was more than 20 people here, fielding some 2,200 phone calls and more than 240 911 texts.
People were calling like, oh, we see 3 people with long guns. And what they didn't realize that it was officers who came from home.
How do you manage a caller that's maybe on the east side of campus, and then there's another caller on the west side of campus? Somebody had to be able to do that, to be able to manage all of that information to get it to the police. Amy did a great job keeping all of that organized.
Organization and training the Ingham County 911 Center prepares for, hoping never to use, knowing they can help save lives.
I think just because I was the main dispatcher on it, I've gotten so much attention, but I wouldn't have been able to do that without my coworkers. We worked like a well-oiled machine.
The doors are locked at Michigan State University's Berkey Hall, where a classroom became a crime scene. Students focused on a lesson when they heard gunshots.
I heard a popping noise, and at first I thought it was fireworks because no one ever makes that assumption that's gunshots. But after a few more pops, I realized what it was.
A masked gunman stormed into the building, poking his head and his gun into room 114, targeting unsuspecting students in the middle of a Cuban literature class.
I remember kind of laying on the ground. I'd grab my backpack to place in front of me just in case. And I kind of peeked up and I saw this man.
That man fired several rounds into the classroom, killing 2 students and injuring others before ducking out and walking to the nearby student union, where he went inside and opened fire again, killing another student. Within seconds of the attack, students in room 114 of Berkey Hall worked together to protect each other.
Maybe that was a little foolish of me to assume that he wouldn't come back or what was going on, but in my head I thought that's what needed to be done. I needed to get up and assess what was going on.
He says what was going on was scary and surreal. The professor and other students holding 2 doors closed while others called 911.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
Berkeley Hall, Michigan State University. There's a shooting. Room 114. Room 114? Yes. Okay, how many people have been shot? I don't know.
One of the students who was sitting in the back row, who had been shot actually, had sprinted forward up to the front of the room. And when I walked over to assist with the door, I actually noticed that he was shot in the back. So in seeing that, I'm first aid certified, which thank God. I had ripped off my shirt and applied it to his wound as a form of bandage to stop the bleeding.
He ran to help open the windows so others could escape and noticed more shooting victims.
There was this one gentleman in the middle who had been shot, I believe in the stomach or abdomen area, and he was crying out for help. So I went over to him first to check out how he was doing, and realizing there was not a first aid kit or anything or near me at the time, I kind of addressed the classroom and asked, hey, does anyone have a piece of clothing they can give me? Anything like a headband or, you know, belts that make tourniquets or anything I could use to help people.
Students started taking off their clothing, giving what they had to help. Meantime, this student worked to triage the injured with help from other students applying pressure to their wounds. One of the victims was awake but couldn't move.
He was on top of another female student who was in a very bad condition. So me and another classmate were trying to get him off her so I could figure out what was going on with her.
When he walked out of the classroom to look for a medical kit, he saw first responders coming toward him down the hall.
Dispatch, find out what my next medic arriving in after Medic 11 and Medic 12 and send them into Berkey.
I kind of addressed one of them and told them what the situation was to an extent, who had been shot and where they were and how bad it, like who was in the worst condition.
It all happened in a matter of minutes. Young lives lost and others changed forever.
There's not a day that I don't think about it or think I could have done more.
In memory of those that we lost.
He says he appreciates the support from the university community that followed. He's done the work to cope and has a deeper appreciation now for the fragility of life. Above all, he doesn't think of himself as a hero.
If you're going to do something good, you need to do it purely because it's good and not for any reward or publicity. And I'm hiding my face and who I am because I believe in that.
A strong young man with the faith to move forward. He says he feels safe on campus and is not afraid to return to Berkey Hall.
I think they should reopen it because I believe that shows as a school and as a people, we're not going to let, you know, one man or one incident of violence define who we are.
When Jessie gets out of the car and walks in this door, she knows she's on the job.
And there's a lot of things that go on in this 911 center that are, well, as you well know, we talked about it not that long ago. Very traumatic and hard.
Jessie is a station service dog, a rising trend in 911 centers across the nation.
You do so good.
She's specially trained to work in a public safety setting to offer the kind of support dispatchers may not even realize they need.
She's the normal that all of the staff craves.
Did you and Jess? You look very pretty.
Comfort for dispatchers who talk people through some of their worst moments. The idea proposed nearly 2 years ago when Barbara Davidson took over as director.
And it was kind of a joke. Barb, get us a dog.
The joke, it turns out, started a serious effort to help dispatchers cope with stress on the job.
Started getting real curious about him. What would it take?
After months of research, she found Jessie at Canines for Warriors in Florida. The organization saves shelter dogs and trains them as service dogs for veterans and public safety settings. It took more than a year to bring 2.5-year-old Jessie on board, and the timing was a blessing.
MSU units, I got a shot fired, complaint at Berkey Hall.
She arrived at Ingham County 911 just 2 months before the mass shooting at Michigan State University.
She was here that night. She sat behind the police dispatcher. There were a lot of people in the building that night. She just sat there and waited, and that's what she's trained to do. She's not a pet. She really is a therapy dog.
This is how Jessie spends a lot of her time, and while it looks like she may be slacking, she's really reading the room and hard at work.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
She can sense the stress in the room or if someone needs it, and we'll just come and lay like this or just sit there so you can turn around and talk to her or pet her, or she's just really there for us anytime we need her.
Jessie is trained to put her needs behind the business at hand. That means no barking, no running, and no on-demand bathroom breaks.
You like to come to work?
She loves to come to work. Are you kidding me? There's 15 people out there that give her treats all day long.
Jessie.
I mean, we laugh all the time about how we would all like to have Jessie's job and be her, because she just kind of hangs out and then she gets belly rubs, and that might not be all bad.
Jessie's now venturing outside the 911 center to get those belly rubs. Last month, she paid a visit to MSU in her Spartan jersey to give students some love during final exams.
That was really nice to see the smiles and stuff. She does it for us, so it was really nice to see her do it for them as well.
Jessie's trainers say she has a disposition of love, a gift that took her from a shelter to the hearts of the people we rely on during emergencies every day.
She's super easygoing, so easy to be with and to take care of.
I don't know what we would do without her.